Good morning. How are you guys doing? Welcome back to the channel. So thank you for being here. If you are new, if you're returning, thank you for coming back. And I hope that you join the TBH family by hitting that subscribe button. So today, it's hard to believe listening to the story. We complain about so much over here with minimum wage, and minimum wage does need to be raised from $7.25 an hour. A lot of companies have done that, but a lot still have not. But the thought that you in 2022 could be making just over $1 per hour is insane. But that is what's happening over in Sri Lanka. And with all the protests taking place, it has fled the country. So I know you're probably saying, well, that's over there. I don't have to worry about it. But we should worry about it, because the same way they were unhappy with their government and they decided to protest against what was taking place with the fuel and the food shortages. I mean, people were starving. People aren't making enough money to feed their families. That could happen here. And in some instances, it has already happened here.
This video is being used for copyright disclaimer under 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Made for fair use for a purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that otherwise might be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use. Tips the balance in favor of fair use.
We turn now to the historic change that swept through the island nation of Sri Lanka over the weekend. It came after thousands of protesters stormed the presidential residence over their country's shortages of fuel, food, and medicine. CBS's Elizabeth Palmer has the remarkable video and pictures of what was a mostly peaceful revolution.
Tens of thousands of Sri Lankans started their protest at the presidential headquarters over the weekend. But when they heard the president had fled, they surged into his residence and marveled. In a country where the minimum wage is just over $1 a day, people wanted to look at this opulence and see how it felt, right down to a dip in the presidential pool. But overnight, the mood had been ugly when police fired tear gas at crowds who'd torched the Prime Minister's house, furious with corruption and incompetence that's left the economy in tatters and Sri Lankans short of fuel and food. But the Prime Minister has now promised to leave office and says the President will step down too on Wednesday. So, having forced their leaders out, the protesters were cleaning up the presidential palace today, hoping its next resident will put Sri Lanka back on its feet.